English Daily, the podcast.
Your English journey starts now. Welcome back to English Daily Podcast. I'm Anna, and I'm so excited to be here with you today.
And I'm Jack, happy to be your host alongside Anna. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in.
Today's episode is super important, especially if you're a manager or aspiring leader. We're talking about something that can truly transform your career.
That's right, data literacy is a must in today's business world. But can you actually make sense of it? That's the question we're answering today.
We're diving into data literacy for non-tech managers, how to explain analytics in plain English. This is a game changer, trust me.
And this episode is especially for those of you who are brilliant in your native language but find it challenging to simplify complex data concepts when speaking English.
We've got an amazing conversation ahead with lots of practical tips, real examples, and vocabulary you can start using right away.
So grab your notebook, get comfortable, and let's jump right in. Anna, where should we start?
Let's start with why this matters so much. Jack, tell us about your experience with data communication challenges.
You know, Anna, I remember when I first became a manager 5 years ago. I came from a technical background, so I thought data would be my strong suit.
What happened?
Oh, I was in for a rude awakening. My team would look at me with blank stares when I tried to explain our quarterly metrics.
That's so common, Jack. People assume that because you're good with numbers, you can automatically explain them well.
Exactly. And that's when I realized there's a huge difference between understanding data and communicating data effectively.
Absolutely. And that's the core of what we're teaching today, the plain English method for data communication.
So, Anna, what exactly is the plain English method? How do we define it for our listeners?
Great question. The plain English method is all about translating complex technical concepts into language that anyone can understand, regardless of their technical background.
Can you give us an example?
Of course. Instead of saying, our churn rate has increased by 2.3 percentage points quarter over quarter, you'd say, we've lost more customers this quarter compared to last.
Oh, that's much clearer. It's still accurate, but it's accessible.
Right. The key is to maintain accuracy while simplifying the language. You're not dumbing down the message, you're opening it up.
That's such an important distinction. Let me ask you this. Why do you think so many professionals struggle with this in English specifically?
I think it's because we learn technical English in a very formal, academic way. We're taught to sound professional and precise.
Right, and that can sometimes make us sound overly complicated.
Exactly. We forget that clear communication is actually the ultimate form of professionalism. Simplicity is sophistication.
I love that phrase. Simplicity is sophistication. Let's write that down, everyone.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the first key skill, describing trends effectively.
Trends are the foundation of business data. Where do we start?
Let's start with the basic verbs we use to describe movement in data. These are essential for any manager.
Tell us the most important ones.
First, we have to increase, to rise, and to grow. These all mean the same thing, that something is going up.
So they're synonyms?
Yes, but with different connotations. Rise sounds slightly more formal. Grow has a positive connotation, like something healthy is happening.
What about when things go down?
We have to decrease, to decline, to fall, and to drop. Again, decline is more formal, while drop is more casual and dramatic.
And what about when something stays the same?
That's crucial. We say to remain stable, to stay constant, to plateau, or to level off.
Plateau is such a specific term.
It is. It comes from geography, where a plateau is a flat, elevated area. In data, it means growth has stopped but hasn't started declining.
I love that visual. Now, how about we talk about the magnitude of change? Like, how do we describe how much something changed?
That's the next critical skill. We need to use modifiers to show the degree of change.
What are some good modifiers?
For increases, we can say slightly, moderately, significantly, dramatically, or sharply.
So, sales increased slightly means a small change, but sales increased dramatically means a big change.
Exactly. You've got it. And for decreases, we use the same modifiers: slightly, moderately, significantly, and dramatically.
Thinking. What about when we want to compare two time periods? How do we do that in plain English?
Great question. We use phrases like compared to, in comparison with, year over year, quarter over quarter, or versus.
Can you give us a full example?
Sure. Our revenue increased by 15% compared to last year. Or, customer satisfaction scores declined significantly versus the previous quarter.
So we state the metric, the direction, the modifier, and then the comparison. That makes it complete.
Perfect. You're already using the plain English method. Let's move on to the next skill, explaining charts and graphs.
This is where many managers get stuck. They can read a chart, but struggle to describe what they're seeing.
Exactly. There are several types of charts, and each one tells a different story. Let me break them down.
I'm listening.
First, we have line charts. These show trends over time. We use phrases like, the line shows, the trend indicates, or as we can see from the line.
What about bar charts?
Bar charts compare different categories. We might say the bar represents, this bar shows, or when we compare the bars, we see.
And pie charts?
Pie charts show parts of a whole. We use the pie chart illustrates, the largest slice represents, or this segment accounts for.
What about scatter plots? Those are more complex.
They are. Scatter plots show relationships between two variables. We say things like, there's a correlation between, we can see a pattern, or the dots cluster around.
And what about when we want to point out specific data points?
We use phrases like, notice that, pay attention to, look at this peak, or this dip is significant.
I love this dip. It's so visual and immediate.
It is, and it's perfectly acceptable in business English. You don't always have to sound formal.
That's a great point. Let's shift gears and talk about explaining technical terms.
This is where the plain English method really shines. We need to define jargon without talking down to our audience.
What's the best approach?
First, identify the key term. Then give a simple definition followed by a concrete example.
Can you walk us through an example?
Sure. Let's say you need to explain conversion rate. You might say, conversion rate simply means the percentage of people who take a desired action. For example, if 100 people visit our website and 5 of them make a purchase, our conversion rate is 5%.
That's brilliant. You gave the definition and a real example.
The example is key. People remember stories and concrete numbers much better than abstract definitions.
What about more complex terms like ROI or KPI?
Those are acronyms, and we should always spell them out on first use. ROI stands for return on investment, which measures how much profit we make relative to our costs.
And for KPIs?
KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. These are the specific metrics we track to measure success in our goals.
What if your audience is really non-technical, like they barely use numbers at all?
Then we take it even further. We might say, think of ROI as asking, for every dollar I spend, how much do I get back?
That's so accessible. Anyone can understand that.
That's the goal. Now let's talk about another crucial skill, storytelling with data.
Storytelling with data is such a hot topic right now.
It really is. The idea is that data becomes memorable when it's presented as a story with a beginning, middle, and end.
How do we structure that?
Great question. We start with the context, what's the situation, then we introduce the challenge or the question we needed to answer. Next, we present the data and what it revealed. Finally, we conclude with the action or insight.
So it's like setting the scene, presenting the problem, showing the evidence, and then giving the solution.
Exactly. Let me give you a real example. Last quarter, we noticed our customer complaints were increasing. We dug into the data to understand why. What we found was surprising. 60% of complaints came from our mobile app users. This led us to redesign the mobile experience, and complaints dropped by 40% the following quarter.
That's a complete story. I know exactly what happened and what the outcome was.
And notice how I use specific numbers but explain them clearly. That's the plain English method in action.
I want to add something here. One mistake I see managers make is overwhelming their audience with too much data.
Exactly. Let me give you a real example. Last quarter, we noticed our customer complaints were increasing. We dug into the data to understand why. What we found was surprising. 60% of complaints came from our mobile app users. This led us to redesign the mobile experience, and complaints dropped by 40% the following quarter.
That's a complete story. I know exactly what happened and what the outcome was.
And notice how I use specific numbers but explain them clearly. That's the plain English method in action.
I want to add something here. One mistake I see managers make is overwhelming their audience with too much data.
Oh, that's so important. Less is more.
Yes, try to focus on 3 key points maximum. If you have more data, that's okay, but save it for questions or follow-up materials.
And use visuals. A picture really is worth 1,000 words when it comes to data.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about another common scenario, how to handle pushback on your data.
Ooh, this is so important. Everyone faces this at some point.
Imagine you're in a meeting and someone says, "I don't believe those numbers. That can't be right."
First, don't get defensive. Take a breath and respond professionally. You might say, "That's a fair question. Let me walk you through how we gathered this data."
What if they challenge your interpretation rather than the numbers themselves?
Then you can say, "I see it differently. Here's my reasoning," and walk through your logic step by step.
What about when someone brings up data that contradicts your findings?
That's actually great. It means they're engaged. You can say, "That's interesting data. Let me look into that further." We might be looking at different time periods or customer segments.
Being open to other perspectives actually builds trust.
Absolutely. Now, let's discuss one more critical scenario, presenting to mixed audiences.
What do you mean by mixed audiences?
I mean when you have both technical and non-technical people in the same room. This is very common in management.
Oh yes, that happens all the time. Executives, engineers, and marketing people all in one meeting.
The trick is to give the headline first, the key insight that everyone needs to know, then offer to go deeper for anyone who wants more detail.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Here's the bottom line. Our new product launch was successful and we're seeing strong initial sales. For those interested in the details, our conversion rate was 8%, which is above the industry average of 5%. The engineering team might want to know that our load times decreased by 30%, contributing to the higher conversion.
That's brilliant. You gave everyone something relevant without overwhelming anyone.
That's exactly the goal. Now, let's transition to our vocabulary breakdown section.
Yes, I'm excited about this part. These phrases are so practical.
Let's dive in. Here are 15 to 20 key phrases that will help you explain data in plain English.
Let's go through them one by one.
Number 1, the data shows. This is a simple, direct way to introduce a finding.
The data shows that customer satisfaction has improved.
Perfect. Number 2, this means that use this to translate data into meaning.
Our market share increased by 10%, which means we're becoming the dominant player.
Excellent. Number 3, in other words, use this when you want to simplify or rephrase.
Our CAC went up. In other words, we're spending more to acquire each new customer.
Great. Number 4, to put it simply, this prepares your audience for a simplified explanation.
Number 5, for example, and for instance, these are essential for giving concrete illustrations.
Number 6, compared to, use this for making comparisons clear.
Compared to our competitors, we're growing faster.
Number 7, the main takeaway is this helps summarize key insights.
Number 8, it's important to note this draws attention to something significant.
Number 9, on the flip side, this introduces a contrasting point or negative aspect.
Number 10, as you can see, this points to visual data.
Number 11, let's break this down. This signals you're about to explain in more detail.
Number 12, the bottom line is, this summarizes the most important conclusion.
Number 13, this suggests that this interprets what the data might indicate.
Number 14, across the board. This means everywhere or in all categories.
Number 15, year over year, and quarter over quarter, these show time comparisons.
Number 16, at a glance. This means you can see something immediately without detailed analysis.
Number 17, digging deeper. This means looking more closely at the data.
Number 18, this highlights. This emphasizes an important point.
Number 19, moving forward. This refers to future actions or plans.
Number 20, to sum it up. This signals you're about to conclude.
Great job, everyone. These phrases are your toolkit for clear data communication. Practice using them in your next meeting.
Now let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive into real-world scenarios and practice together.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Let's jump into some real-world scenarios.
Yes, I'm going to present some common situations managers face, and we'll practice the plain English approach together.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
First scenario. You need to explain a declining sales trend to your team.
Okay, let me try. Team, I want to talk about our sales numbers. We've seen a decline in sales over the past 3 months. The good news is we understand why, and we have a plan to turn this around.
That's excellent. You acknowledged the problem, were honest about it, and ended on a positive note.
Good. What if they want more detail?
You could add, looking at the data, our conversion rate has dropped slightly. This means fewer people who visit our website are making purchases. We're testing a new checkout process to fix this.
I like how you broke that down. Now let's try another scenario.
Scenario 2. You're presenting to executives who want the bottom line.
Okay, let me think. Good morning. I'll keep this brief. Our revenue is up 20% this year, driven primarily by our new product line. However, our costs also increased, so our profit margins are slightly down. My recommendation is to focus on operational efficiency in Q2.
That was perfect. You gave the key numbers, the insight, and the recommendation all in one concise summary.
That felt good. Now let's try one more.
Scenario 3. A client asks you to explain why their project is behind schedule.
This is a sensitive one. Thank you for asking. The project is about 2 weeks behind our original timeline. The main reason was that we encountered unexpected technical challenges. I want to be transparent about this. The good news is we've resolved the issues and we're confident we'll deliver a high-quality product by the new target date.
Jack, that was masterfully handled. You were honest, took responsibility, and gave a clear path forward.
Thanks. I think the key is not to hide bad news, but to frame it constructively.
Absolutely. Now, let's try a role play scenario.
What's the scenario?
Scenario 3. You're a manager presenting quarterly results to your team. Let's practice.
Thanks everyone for joining. Let's look at what we accomplished this quarter. The headline is that we hit 85% of our targets. Here's what that looks like. Our customer satisfaction score went up to 4.2 out of 5, which is a big improvement. However, we missed our growth target. Let me explain why. We focused more on retaining existing customers, which we think is the right long-term strategy. Any questions?
That was fantastic. You gave the summary first, then the details, then your interpretation. Great structure.
Thanks. Now let's try one more important scenario.
Scenario 5. You're explaining a complex analytics concept to a client who needs to understand the value of your service.
Let me try this one. I'd like to explain how our analytics work in simple terms. Essentially, we track how customers interact with your website. This data helps us understand what's working and what's not. For example, if we see that many people click on a product but don't buy it, that might indicate a pricing or description issue. We then recommend specific changes to increase your sales.
That was wonderful. You made something technical sound simple and valuable.
This practice is really helpful. Now let's discuss some common mistakes to avoid.
Yes, let's talk about the pitfalls that trip up many managers.
First mistake, using too much jargon.
Yes, remember, if you need to explain your terminology, you've already lost some of your audience.
Second mistake, overwhelming with data.
Too many numbers at once is hard to process. Focus on the most important 3 points.
Third mistake, not explaining the so what.
Always connect your data to action or insight. What should the audience do with this information?
Fourth mistake, being too vague.
Don't just say sales are good, say sales increased by 25% compared to last year.
Fifth mistake, not checking for understanding.
Always pause and ask if people have questions. Don't assume they follow you.
Sixth mistake, using charts incorrectly.
Make sure your visuals are appropriate for the data and easy to read. Don't clutter them with too much information.
Seventh mistake, burying the lead.
Always start with your most important finding. Don't save the best for last and risk losing your audience.
And eighth mistake, using the wrong type of chart.
Line charts for trends over time, bar charts for comparisons, pie charts for parts of a whole. Match the chart to the message.
These are such practical tips. Now, Anna, let's talk about building confidence.
Confidence comes with practice. The more you present data, the easier it becomes.
What about non-native speakers specifically? How can they build confidence?
Great question. First, practice the vocabulary until it becomes natural. Second, prepare well. Know your data inside and out. Third, start with smaller groups and work your way up.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly. Every mistake is a learning opportunity. Your audience wants you to succeed.
Let me share a personal story. When I first started presenting in English, I was so nervous that I would speak too fast and trip over my words.
That's so common, Jack. What did you do?
I started practicing out loud, even when I was alone. I would record myself and listen back. It was uncomfortable at first, but it made a huge difference.
That's great advice. Recording yourself is one of the best ways to improve.
Also, I learned to slow down. When we're nervous, we tend to speak too fast. Taking pauses actually makes you sound more confident and gives you time to think.
Absolutely. Pauses are powerful. Don't fear silence.
Let's now move to our reflection question section.
Yes, here are some questions for you to think about and practice answering.
Question 1. How often do you use data in your current role?
Question 2. What type of data do you find most challenging to explain?
Question 3. Who is your typical audience when you present data?
Question 4. What's one plain English technique you want to start using?
Question 5. How can you simplify your next data presentation?
Question 6. What jargon do you commonly use that you should define?
Question 7. How do you handle questions you don't know the answer to?
Question 8. What's one story from your work that involves data?
Question 9. How can you make your next chart or graph more accessible?
Question 10. What new vocabulary word or phrase will you practice this week?
Take your time with these questions, write down your answers, and practice speaking them out loud. This is how you build real skills.
Now let's wrap up this episode with some final thoughts.
Anna, what's your main takeaway from today's conversation?
For me, it's that clear communication is a choice. Every time we present data, we can choose to be clear or confusing. The plain English method is a gift we give to our audience.
I love that. My takeaway is that simplicity takes effort. Making things simple is actually harder than making them complicated, but it's so worth it.
You know what, Jack? I remember when I first learned about data analytics, I was so overwhelmed by all the technical terms and complicated charts.
What changed for you?
I started thinking about data as a story. Numbers aren't just numbers. They represent real people, real situations, real decisions. When you approach data with that mindset, explaining it becomes much easier.
That's so true. Data is ultimately about human experience.
Absolutely. And remember, this is a skill that improves with practice. Every time you explain data, you're getting better at it.
Let's leave our listeners with some actionable steps.
First, choose one piece of data you need to present this week and practice explaining it in plain English.
Second, review your slides or visuals and remove any unnecessary complexity.
Third, ask a colleague for feedback on how clearly you explain data.
Fourth, practice using at least 3 of the vocabulary phrases we learned today.
Fifth, be patient with yourself. This is a journey, not a destination.
Sixth, record yourself presenting and listen back. You'll be surprised how much you improve.
And finally, remember that everyone starts somewhere. Even the most experienced data analysts were once beginners.
That's so true. Now, before we say goodbye, let's do a quick recap of what we learned today.
We covered the plain English method for data communication, including how to describe trends, explain charts and graphs, define technical terms, and tell stories with data.
We practiced real scenarios and learned common mistakes to avoid.
We explored 20 key phrases for clear data communication.
And we reflected on 10 important questions to guide our practice.
Most importantly, we learned that clarity is a choice and simplicity is sophistication.
Thanks so much for joining us today, everyone.
We hope this episode helps you communicate data more effectively and with more confidence.
If you found this helpful, please share the episode with a colleague or friend who would benefit from it.
And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us create better content for you.
We'll see you next time on English Daily Podcast. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep speaking English with confidence.
Bye for now, everyone. Take care.
Goodbye and good luck with your data presentations.
Your learning journey doesn't stop here. Keep improving your English. Click the next video or explore more episodes we've picked just for you. See you in the next lesson.